Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. We just had a block sell here at 070. Anyways, crazy day yesterday. After we left, if we can pull back here, that whole move down got completely retraced. And same in the E-mini. So I don't know. I think that some of this was comments about the strength of the dollar. Them saying that they don't want the dollar to be too strong, but that it is going to continue to get stronger. I don't know. They're trying to have it both ways, and I think that maybe the markets were reacting to that. There was also the news that the pund and that the euro was going to continue with stimulus, but the market kind of didn't seem to buy it. Anyways, you notice here on this move down that got us to where we're at, that we continue to flatten. So I believe that there's a good chance that we could continue doing that. It does look like that even though they tried to clear here at 7, that they got pushed out. We might return back to the VWAP here. But I'm not going to take it because we do have some significant news at 6:30. We've got GDP, we've got, a bunch of other things. So there's that. Then in Bitcoin, there's been a lot of talk in Bitcoin, people saying that they're going to try and kill the futures today because it's like the closing date for the future is the last Friday of the month, I believe. So we need to look into that a little bit here, about like when is the close and so forth like that. When is settlement date? So let's look that up. Oh no, we don't want CBOE, we want CME, futures, Bitcoin futures quotes, settlements. Contract specs actually is, I think, what we want. Settlement method, financially settled. Does it say? Trading terminates at 4 p.m. London time on the last Friday of the contract month. So that is today. And what is 4 o'clock? Okay, so it is at 9 o'clock our time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Right, so we got all of our stuff. I got that all out. Let's pull up Discord. Let's get some people in here. Looks like we don't have a whole lot of delay today. That's cool. All right. Also wanted to post this one in a Facebook group that I was looking at. Where was that? We should probably pull up the forward month too, shouldn't we? Let's see, what are they saying in the Bitcoin channel? Okay, so not much there. Crypto watch. Oh, and we also need the data mesh. So question, when we pushed down, did shorts come off? They did not. Let's do last 24 hours. Yep, so you can see them putting the shorts on overnight. The lungs didn't jump out though, so that's good. I think that we could have a short covering rally here, guys. I still think it. I still believe. Hey Dan, how's it going? No, we do have a comment about the debugging that we need to address. We'll do that later. So yeah, I'll just show you the chart here really quick. What I'm seeing. So basically they've been why do I have that? Okay. They've been fighting it really this whole time. And now they tried really hard to prevent it from making a new high. And they pushed it down really hard. Now, of course, there could be another push like that. But at the moment, at least, I mean, it is kind of like this. Look, they failed to make a new low, but then they failed to make a new high and they pushed it lower. Failed to make a new high, failed to make a new low. Maybe they push it lower. But I think there's so many people short. There's so many people short. And, you know, here you can see in the data mesh, it's going up. The shorts are up and it's kind of evened off a little bit, I guess. I mean, yeah. And the whole thing is that all these people are saying, oh, they're shorting it so that they can make profit on the settlement, which makes no sense to me. Like, just close the freaking contract. Or maybe it's too hard for them to close the contract. Maybe they roll over or something. But the futures close in about 3 hours, 2.5 hours. We'll see what happens. But I think that there's so many people short at that point that you have to have a short covering rally. So, and the fact that we didn't make a new low there on that big push down is good. Now, I did see some news here. If I can just come here to, there's this really great, I'll post the link here in the video, but paste here in the video chat. But this is like all cryptos, like every crypto subreddit. And can I see here? Hey, China is considering unbanning ICOs. That's good. Now there was something about something in Japan. Where was it? Japan coin check freezes withdrawals. That's what it was. So I think that may have been the sell event. But again, I mean, it's so hard to say, but I like that. I really like that right there. So that's a good sign, but that's a bad sign. Yeah. Do it like this. Okay. There you go, like that. Yeah. But the cloud is thin here. I don't know what that means. What does it mean when the Ishimoku cloud is thin? Do we have a greater percentage chance of busting through it? I'm gonna have to read more about the cloud, since everybody seems to be interested in the cloud. Okay, we got the news in 5 minutes. And let's make sure we have our squawk up today too. Just make sure, what's the number we're looking for? What's the number we care about? Oh, I care about all of these. 3.5, 2.3. Oh, we're gonna have to have this open when the news comes out. They are making some moves. Here we are at that 7 again. Way too close to the news for me to want to be taking a trade there, though. So now would be a good time for me to eat some oatmeal, so I'm going to mute the microphone here for a little bit and pick this back up when the news comes. Okay, so we're getting close. Oh, I guess Trump is speaking in Davos too. I'm not getting my data, my squawk. So we're gonna have to rely on Forex Factory here. tweet deck. Okay. Advanced GDP 2.6 versus 3. Bad. I'm surprised, actually. I thought it would be more. Core durable goods 0.6 versus 0.5. Advanced GDP price index 2.4 versus 2.3. Very good. So some inflation. Waiting on the other numbers here. We could potentially take this long. Definitely more buy volume here, especially in the 5-year. Okay, a little bit of iceberging there. Let's hold off for a second. Okay, core durable goods orders. Wow, 2.9 versus an expected 2.9. The trades balance negative 71 versus 68, which is very big trade balance. Very active morning in bond seems. Short positions built below 1630 euro focus currently. Okay, well, there was a big rise there in the 5-year, and we're fading. Cumulative delta is still high. Tough call. Okay, so some very curious action here in the 10 because cumulative delta is still relatively flat. We did see that move up. The 5-year is almost recovered. I think I'm going to take a long here at 09. We'll see if we get filled. It can be a tough one. Okay. Also, by the way, hello to Albie Sands. Welcome to the stream. We have a pretty small group of people here, so every time I see a new name, I immediately know it's somebody new. All right, so it's holding for the moment, but it's not looking too good, is it? We still got an okay location though, so I'm not too concerned. Like I can just let it play out. I don't need to like stop it before or anything like that. It could totally touch that 07.5s, but it really shouldn't touch that 7. So if we get stopped out, we get stopped out. We're wrong. And I do see this is what we're trading off of. There's only 3K that stopped it, so I think that now that it's calmed down a little bit, some bigger players start making some plays. Well, thank you very much, Ali. So did you find us because of cryptocurrencies? Or are you interested in the treasuries? It's just silly. Also, keep in mind there's about a 5-second delay or so. Nice. Better. I wanted to have real-time information about the futures market's behavior before it closes. Mostly interested in cryptos. Okay, very good. So we're definitely going to be showing that. So that said 4 o'clock London time, which is going to be in about 2.5 hours, is when it closes. So we'll have it, and when it does, I'm going to show you the. Where is it? I know I have you open. We'll put this up when we get to that point so we can really see the orders coming through. We even this. So far, since I've started streaming, literally only 5 trades have gone through. Keep that one open. Okay, so far so good. We do need to bust through this 10. I'm not a trader. I like what you are sharing with us. Okay, well, because we have some new people in, I'll try to give a little bit better description of what's going on, what I'm seeing. This middle 2 columns right here, that's the big thing you want to look at. These middle 2 columns are market orders hitting that price. So these are buys and these are sells. So you can see they've been taking about between 500 and 1,000 to clear a price, and they've just kind of been trading it back and forth, and they're unable to break through this 10 level here. But we are seeing here, this is market buys versus market sells. We are seeing some buying pressure in the shorter term maturities that are more sensitive to interest rate changes, more sensitive to changes in the economy. So I do still think that the 5-year is going to pull us up. I just want them to get it on with. What you waiting for? And this is the limit orders. Okay. So 400 people looking to sell at that price, 1,200 looking to buy at that price. Less people there are, the more likely we are to tick up. Ooh, that was a bad flip right there. You see it go from 300 to 1,700. I think these guys at 8 are going to fight back, but we might get stopped out here. Now at the bottom of the range would have been a better place to have bought. Okay. Some good support in the 5-year again. You see it tick up 2 ticks.
Block buy.
Oh yeah. Okay, block buy is really good. That means that he just bought everything that was at that price. Oh, and look, they just barrel right through there. Whew. Yeah, we are. I mean, I think a lot of what we're seeing is robots, especially when we trade, like when there's 500, they buy 500 and then they only put 500 up and then they sell it and it goes back and forth. That's robots for sure. But it's when we see these really big ones. So like it took 4,500 to push through that. Now, if we could see, that number again, or if we see just as much trade through '09 halves, then that could indicate that we've got big players on both sides willing to fight. And we'll see if that, in the Bitcoin futures, it's a little bit different because there's just not enough liquidity to do those kind of games. So it's just kind of like you can buy and sell at any time and you just get what prices are being offered, essentially. But here, the thing I want you to pay attention to in the Bitcoin futures is this blue line. This is, again, cumulative delta, which is market buys versus market sells. And we want to see if this is going in a diverges from price. So like if this had come up and this had continued to go down, that would have been a divergence that we would want to pay attention to that could indicate that we go lower. But it didn't. At the moment, I think we'll come back to this white VWAP line. Okay, so now we're at the resistance line in the 5-year. Same, almost in the 30. It looks like the 30 is more 11. I think we might get like some sort of a level break setup though. Okay, so the question is, with more liquidity, it will cost more in the future to manipulate Bitcoin price, right? Well, so first of all, there's so little volume in the Bitcoin futures that is really just not very influential at the moment. Like, there's been talk that, and I've mentioned in the past, if you look at some of my videos that I've posted on this subject, you can get this sort of a thing where a move in the futures creates a move in the cash exchanges, or something of that effect. Like that very much happens in the E-mini. When they see the futures traders in the E-mini do something, all of the stock traders respond. But in Bitcoin, there's just not enough volume to do that. So if you want to manipulate the price of Bitcoin, you have to do it in the cash exchanges, and probably over multiple exchanges, frankly. So I don't know. There's been talk about that they're manipulating the price down for the close of the futures, and it's kind of like a kind of yes and kind of no, because kind of yes in that I just don't think that you could set up a trade like that in the futures that they would be profitable, because the amount of money that you would spend on the transactions and getting everything in Bitcoin to move and everything, I think would outweigh what you would make on the futures, especially since there's limits on how big of a position you can have. But it kind of also becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, like because of all the retail traders think that there's going to be a sell-off today, they all were selling ahead of time in the hopes that it's going to go lower and they can buy it back earlier. So I mean, we did get a move lower, but it made a higher low. I think that my if I had to make a prediction, I would say that come 9 o'clock we're going to start buying, but we'll see. It's just too hard to predict that sort of a thing. Okay, well, I don't like that move down there, but I think that this is one that we just have to be a bit more patient on. So Alligator thinks that it's going to be a trend day, huh? Okay. It's kind of curious because some of these moves are happening on pretty low cumulative delta. Hmm. Interestingly enough, the E-mini actually looks like
IQ
it
said
could go higher.
GM.
High IQ. So I normally like to get at least 4. Maybe I should have taken the 2 when we had it. Jeez. So I said it probably shouldn't touch the 7, right? We'll see if they're able to stop us out. They're right at some support levels, especially in ZF. Man, I don't know, this is really bizarre kind of action. And I can't help but wonder if somebody is accumulating down there.
Alligator said true seems only a short-term reaction then they ignore GDP, but I'm surprised. Inflation is good but thought GDP would dominate. Alligator said short end moving up.
Yeah. I think we should move up overall, but that we should be flattening. That might be part of it. Probably makes sense to try going shorting BTC today and then going long in the next days or even immediately afterwards with prices last seen in November. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people actually did it. So did you see this right here? These are margin shorts and margin longs on Bitfinex. Oops. So you see right here in the middle of the night, a lot of shorts got put on.
IQ said stacking at 0.8.
Hmm. No, he's talking about in the bond. This one right here. Good to see people are starting to have selling interest at the bottom. Yeah, so Jeffrey Hamilton saying shorts going up is good for Bitcoin price. Yeah, it is good. I mean, when we made that first low, the number of shorts definitely decreased, but having those shorts there is good because that's going to give us fuel to go higher if that's what starts happening, for sure. The thing is, we just can't predict. You know, if a bunch of people are going to come in and buy all of a sudden, or if a bunch of people are going to come in and sell all of a sudden, just like last night. I mean, it was kind of, I guess there was the timing of it, but they just come out of nowhere, right? If the trade is, after we see it and they win or lose, then we go with that. So if we see the shorts lose, then we take that.
Alligator said L085 again.
On the expectation that they start getting out and that pushes us higher. That's how I tend to trade this. Really? I haven't taken that tool and looked that far back. Is saying that if you look at the highs, we were 20k shorts as we were going up to the top. Well, I was calling a top back there. My indicator said that there was going to be a top. So I'm not surprised that there was other big players up there saying doing just that. So that time 8 started to pull a little bit and then they hit 8.5 and pushed it up. So it was kind of almost a lure. But then they didn't put up a big bid, or they didn't push through. I don't think I can post links, but it's very clear on the chart. Which chart do you look at though, Jeffrey? Come on.
Alligator said going nowhere.
Yeah, this
Alligator
is going
said
nowhere.
oops.
It's been almost 30 minutes now and it's gone nowhere. Oh, on TradingView. Yeah. See, I wish I had the advanced TradingView to be able to see like
Cedric said ranging action.
Cumulative delta. But Jeffrey, if you look in the video description, there's a link to a Discord, and if you go into Discord, you could post that link in the stream channel. And that would be an easier way for you to get it to us.
Alligator said Friday and XPER, usually not a good day for trends, so if they don't come soon, week over in US bonds for me.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I mean, we are still kind of in the middle of that range, you know? So there is a good chance that it just gets stuck. Even here after 7, I'm still not seeing it. See, it's like they trade up, they don't put a bid up it, and then the robots just take it the other way. I think that they need to take it back to the 10 to see it do anything interesting. This guy, he's probably just waiting for it to range back up there before hitting the gas. If you're still there. And of course, there's a huge iceberg at 7. Dang. So I hear Jeffrey gave us a link. Yeah. It is the same thing as the Bitfinex longs and shorts. And you can see there was a lot of people shorting it here. There's actually higher shorts further back. That's interesting. And now shorts are going up again. Well, that sucks that we took a 4-tick loss there. Should have taken the 2. Lots of bubbles in ZB, by the way. Especially up there. What's Peter Davies got here? Now I'll have to watch that later. I think he's made some changes for me to make sure that we don't show account numbers. Which we've done, and even if you did, you would just see the demo account, but still. Oh, here's John. Okay, so John says, my bias is to the upside as long as price continues to trade above 149 even. 16 to 22 is supply, which is exactly what happened. 04 to 08 is the bull bear zone. I want to be finished early today. Well, John, maybe he's already finishing here. Maybe he's like, well, they just cleared 6/2. I'm done. Yeah, he's saying. Jeffrey says it could still hunt down to 8K, but I think it's unlikely. Yeah, that's exactly what my stuff is saying, because my indicator is kind of more based on transactions and everything. And based on blockchain transactions, we're at a point where mere usage of the currency holds price up. So they could push, like shorts could push lower, but then use of the currency would push it back up. But you're right that the push down, the fact that we haven't gotten back to the view up and everything like that, it doesn't look good at the moment. Pacho's asking who is John. So there's a website called GPI Trading Group, and John sends out notes with price levels for ZB every morning that are excellent price levels. So he's if you trade Treasuries, he's a really good person to watch. Ethereum, yeah, Ethereum's been looking, the chart, it looks a lot better than the Bitcoin chart, right? And it looks better than the Bitcoin Cash chart too, frankly. The Bitcoin Cash one is really interesting because they're really trying hard to kill Bitcoin Cash. But it is also ridiculously oversold. And so I think there's a good chance that if we get the bull run that I expect to see, that Bitcoin Cash will do really well too. Sure. He's saying against Bitcoin. He's saying, if I can show you here. Oh, that's not the one that we want. Nobody cares about Ethereum Classic. This one. Yeah, it's been looking bullish for a while.
Geophilosophy said BCH looks hella bull, accumulation at the bottom tradingview.com.
Yeah. Interesting that you see some of the same things that I do, but you have a completely different chart way of looking at it. TradingView is really great tool though. I should pay for it again, because it seems like it's the best way to get order flow type information in Bitcoin right now. Not filled. That sucks. 600.
Geophilosophy said eth/BTC12 HRB band squeeze tradingview.com.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying not only does the price action look bullish, but we've also been in a low volatility, high probability of breakout. I just my chart. Have you seen my chart? Now, Jeffrey, you've been in here before, so you're familiar with my chart. I haven't actually generated it today. I probably should do that. Let me put my keyboard back since I'm done eating. It's good charts. Oh, Keith is in is long and already got out, huh? Good job. It was, let me look up it. I'll just put it in the chat, GPI. There you go, Allie. Albie.
Alligator said F080M in the red after 1 hour, probably going to stop my week in ZN, if it breaks the range will come back, but I doubt it, they love 080 so much.
Right. Ugh. I don't know, at the moment it's been really hard to get filled on the buy side. I think we're going to trade above the VWAP, but I can't take it at 8 halves. That's just an awful price to take it at. This buying, though, has been the best run of cumulative delta they've had, though.
Heath said short 10.
Hmm. Did they get a bounce off the VWAP here?
Heath said scratch.
Hmm.
ETH said damn.
Is that in UB? Yeah.
ETH said would have got my +2 on that.
Yeah, although it does look like that they might let it go. I think that we're going to see another move after equities. Well, now you're really getting some buying in ZB. Now, Jeffrey Hamilton also pointing out that the USD funding rate on Bitfinex is very low. What is that? You dropped the ball big in a way on the Vegas shooting, missing the Saudi coup connection and the CIA connection. Well, you see, here's the thing though, Jeffrey, was when I made those videos, that stuff hadn't even hit the internet yet. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is that even though they are interesting theories, there's not really any hard evidence of them. So it's kind of interesting because we thought that we were going to get some more information on the Vegas shooting. And then all that happened was they came out and said, well, we don't know why he did it. But they were investigating somebody else, right? Like an accomplice. What happened with that? Whole thing is kind of weird, isn't it? There's definitely something going on there that we don't know about. But I suspect that it may just be... I suspect that it may just be that there's still some investigation and they don't want the information out because of that, or the hotel is keeping a lid on things because they're negligent. I think it's very likely that the hotel was negligent in some way. You know, like if employees helped him get the weapons up into the room, right, they would be grossly negligent. And if there was a video out there like that, of course they're not going to let it out. Or it's a big petrodollar conspiracy. Yeah, but I don't like to make assertions when there's not like direct hard proof of the thing. Unless there's like a very high probability that it's true. Like so one that I would say is maybe okay to speculate on was that there was the story yesterday that Donald Trump at least wanted to hire or to fire Mueller, but the White House counsel said that they would quit if he did it. And so he relented and they convinced him that it was a bad idea. And some people are saying, well, you know, this happened back in June.
Heat said out -2.
Why would they put that piece of news out now? And some people were saying that they may be prepping you for something else on Friday. And I think that there's a decent probability that that's true. There's a decent probability that the Washington Post is going to have another bombshell story sometime around 4 o'clock today. There's a high probability the guy was gambling away $100K an hour at the casino. Where do you think that money came from? I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say that he was selling weapons, but the only evidence that I've seen for him selling weapons is that one bizarre email. And the law enforcement hasn't said a thing about it. I mean, the thing is if he really was a weapons seller, it's going to come out eventually. I mean, you can't hide something like that. And I highly doubt that the local law enforcement involved in the case would cover for that. Because they would know, hey, eventually people are going to figure it out and then we'll look bad, so they would be saying it. So I think unlikely. I do think one thing that I do think is likely is that he thought he was smarter than everybody else. I suppose that there have been some pretty big things that the government has been able to hide in the past, but I would still say that the probability is that it's not true. It's highly unlikely. Hmm. Although I suppose with the Vegas shooting, everything about what actually ends up being true is highly unlikely. Because it's a bizarre story. What is true is that the Saudi coup happened the same day. Was it that day? I remember seeing stuff about that before that shooting. Yeah. It was around the same time, though. You're right that it was around the same time. I don't think it was like the same day. And the Saudi coup wasn't like a one-day event either. It wasn't even necessarily a coup, it was kind of like a crackdown, right? Okay, well, if I had been able to get filled on that trade, I would have gotten 4. I'm so mad. Wow, CoinCheck hacked 400 million of Zem stolen, largest theft ever. That's crazy. Does look like at the moment that Bitcoin might try and make a push to the VWAP. We'll see. They're still not going to let them through at 09.5s. It would have gotten filled though. Oof. So I'm trying to make a play based off of having such a good Q position down here. I didn't get filled on either side of this. That's crazy. Well, the level 2 is all over the place right now. Seeing lots of changes.
JJTTJJ said I vaguely remember preferring Sierra in my past trading forays.
Okay, sweet. We did get the 1 tick.
Below said missed the failed break as well, uneasy face.
ES is ticking down at the moment. Hmm.
Below said going down on positive delta, could hit lows.
I don't know if this is going to break out or not. This is the sort of situation where I keep thinking, oh, it's going to break out one way or another. Dan, are you margin trading on a BitMEX? No, I'm not. So at the moment, at least, my edge seems to be on swings. And so I've been playing those. I did buy some of this dip, but I'm not day trading cryptocurrencies at the moment. Although I am starting to see some edges, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that I might do it in the future. So, and yeah, if I did, I think BitMEX would probably be the place. Seth is a no coiner; he can't get on BitMEX. No, I have a decent portfolio now. I didn't want to buy, like, I had the SIA coin, right? But I didn't want to buy Bitcoin up when it was at the top because my indicator was saying don't buy it. It was basically, I wasn't trading it because, well, one, like early years ago, it just did not fit my risk parameters. But then, this one was like, I don't really have an edge. I don't know when it's going to stop or what. I think it's going to, but I don't know where. And then when I figured everything out and I got my indicator and stuff, it was saying don't buy. So I waited until it said buy, and I said, well, I'm going to do as much as I can. So I have like about $350 in the market right now in various cryptocurrencies. Mostly Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and SIA coin. And I'm also starting to accumulate a fairly sizable
Below
position
said, wow, it really likes this spot today.
in Garla coin. Well, no, it doesn't though. Like this still kind of looks like accumulation to me, but the volume is also relatively low. So I'm starting to wonder if people just didn't care about the GDP and went home. Okay, so we did finally get back to the VWAP in Bitcoin, so that's good. Although to really get a new high today in Bitcoin would be pretty difficult. It would take a pretty big push to do that. Dan, at what price would you buy Bitcoin? Well, my indicator, basically the recommendation is around 50 is a buy area, and we've been below 55 now, since last week. So really anywhere around here would be an okay buy location in the long run, according to my analysis at least. But I do think, obviously it's better for you to get a spot. So I bought here on this candle. And so because of where I bought, it's easier for me to stay calm and, hold it because, we're still above the price that I bought. So if I was going to buy it, I would probably want to do it when we're below VWAP. So you could buy it right now if you really believe that it's going to go up, or you have some historical probability that lets you know that we're not going to take a leg lower. So that's probably not too helpful for you, is it? Is it too late for someone to get into Bitcoin? No, certainly not. If you think that Bitcoin is going to go and make a new high, then it's not too late. It wouldn't, even if we got above 1300, it wouldn't be too late. Because if we pick it up, we should make it to at least 16. Between here and here is where we're going to get resistance. Does that make sense? This is from here to here. This is where, if we fail to make a new high, this is where it's going to do it. Well, now they've got a big order there at 7/2. And 7. So somebody short willing to push it. Let's see if the iceberg at 6/2 is still there.
ETH said could come down and test the 28 to 25 area in ZB at some point.
Well, that wasn't too good for them, was it? Hmm.
Heath said long 03.
Bitcoin is not a bubble. Shitcoins are a bubble. Bitcoin is sound money. Oh, and Dan says, what do you think about the bubble people are talking about? Well, the bubble, Bitcoin was in a bubble and it popped. It already popped. We've already come down to the bottom. In order for the Bitcoin bubble, quote unquote, to deflate any... Oops. Hold on here. Yeah. Pulled my headphones out here. In order for the price to deflate any further, we have to have a test of the highs. It's not possible. There's still too much interest in Bitcoin here at the bottom. People are all buying it. All the groups and stuff, like, they're all still interested. Are they shorting or long? Who are we talking about? And also, we're saying a lot of people are talking about privacy issues with Lightning and believe that this will lead to the end of Bitcoin. I mean, with all these rumors around, won't it be harder to get new money into crypto? I mean, no. So, I mean, here's the thing, that Bitcoin Cash is on Coinbase. So, I mean, if that was true, it wouldn't happen because people would just use Bitcoin Cash. But at the moment, at least, I mean, I don't know in the long term, and there's a lot of arguments about for and against the Lightning Network that I still don't completely understand. But at the moment, right now, it kind of looks like on the propaganda war front, at least, that Bitcoin is winning that war, right? Because Lightning has added a couple of nodes. It seems to be working. Now, of course, the Bitcoin Cash people will say that the problems with Lightning don't become apparent until you start to scale it. And I don't, that's the part that I don't understand. But, you know, and then the issue is still at the moment, at least, transaction pool, the memory pool is still relatively high. If we have another push up, that's very likely to get jammed up again. So it's just kind of like we just have to wait and see. Okay, so they pushed through that 06 halves without fanfare. We could see the low.
Heath said scratch that on.
But, you know, I don't necessarily care about those things too much. My Bitcoin Cash was created by state shells trying to block the SegWit upgrade and the privacy that comes with it. So, Jeffrey Hamilton, if that's true, then why is it that after all of those people left, and there was an agreement to do the SegWit and to increase the block size and everything, that they didn't actually do it? Isn't it a little curious that they had this big, huge fight and they made an agreement? Okay, we'll increase the block size to 2 megabytes, which was a good idea, and we'll do the SegWit. Which I'm not like a huge fan of SegWit, but I don't necessarily think that it's like a bad thing per se. Okay, so they did the SegWit upgrade, and then they said, okay, and then we'll move to the 2 megabyte blocks, and they couldn't do it. Like, not enough people supported it, and they were worried about splintering the community or something, and so they didn't do it. But then here you have Bitcoin Cash, And they're running, what, 4 megabyte blocks? Soon 32 megabyte blocks? Absolutely no problems at all. I don't know. That one just doesn't. What we were told, it just did not line up with what actually happened. Now, that has nothing to do with whether or not Lightning is a very good solution. But I think it's very troubling that they weren't able to do the 2x thing. Will Wall Street short Bitcoin or long it? Well, I think that in general, Wall Street wants to give their clients exposure to it. So I think that the bulk of the institutional activity is going to be buying. There are going to be hedge funds and stuff that are going to try and short it, but you can't. Yeah, but I mean, but this whole thing is that was the agreement, right? The agreement was that we'll add, like they had that big conference, right? And they had an agreement that we'll do SegWit if we get a block size increase. And then what happened? We got SegWit, but they didn't increase the block size. Why didn't they increase the block size? You give me one good reason why a 2 megabyte block size is a problem. I would have to do a little bit of web searching to find which agreement that was made at. Was it not by Bitcoin Core? I will have to look. No. I just think that they should have increased the block size. I think it was stupid.
Yellow time below smiling face with open mouth.
Why can't we increase the block size to 2 megabytes or 4 megabytes or 32 megabytes, frankly? Even if it's just like a stopgap solution until Lightning Network is going on. It makes zero sense.
Below said I'm writing.
That might be true. I'd have to go back and find the source where I was reading all about that. I don't know if it's too important to the point though, because the point is just
Heath said now green follow through smiling face with open mouth.
Well, why can't we increase the block size to 4 megabytes? There's no good reason. They didn't want to. Well, they're dumb if they don't want to, because they didn't increase the block size. People were paying ridiculous transaction fees at the top. They don't want to. That's a great reason to do something. Let me tell you.
Block sell.
Well, there you go. Look at that. Not one we could take. Well, I guess I could have gone short at this 7. Yeah, that was some stops. But Tyler did come through. Where did he come through at? Wow, 050. This could be a flipper. I'm not going to short 04 house here, as tempting as it is. Well, yeah, so I know that there was also the 2x fork. Okay, it increases the bandwidth and hardware needs of running a full node. True, but the bandwidth and hardware needs of running a full node at this time are not that significant. And increasing it to 2 or 4 times what it is, which still would not be that significant. And we know that because Bitcoin Cash has already done it and they've had 0 problems. Yeah, they decided to not go ahead with 2 megabyte because they decided there was no support for it. And they were going to fork the existing Bitcoin chain. Like it just kind of boggles my mind because Satoshi, he said, I remember from the very beginning when Bitcoin came out and everybody said, you know, a 1 megabyte block is going to be a problem. And he said, well, no, it won't, because by the time we hit that, you know, there will be more space and people will have better internet connections and there will be no problem going to, you know, larger blocks and 32 megabytes. And the only reason they ever added a limit was to prevent a certain type of spam attack. So, like, there's just no good reason to have not increased the block size to at least 2 to 4 megabytes so that we could have had more memory space, right? To have reduced the transaction fees. Because if we go back up now, with the pool the way that it is right now, and we have another bull run, and we get a new high in transaction fees, that's going to be really bad. Especially with all of the merchants and stuff that dropped Bitcoin and things like that. Remember, the underlying theory here is that what determines whether we're overbought or oversold is whether or not there's enough transactions actually on the blockchain to support that price. And if less people are using Bitcoin, it's not going to be worth as much. I don't necessarily care about the political process of it and whether or not they did it in the right way or not. I'm saying that the people that fought against the block size increase are dumb. They're dumb, or they have some sort of alternative motivation that isn't really in Bitcoin's best interest. Because there's no reason that we shouldn't have increased the block size to 4 megabytes. Well, SegWit reduces the size of the packet. You're right, yeah. Yeah, but it'll probably be a long time before they do it. But this is not going to work forever, just having a 1 megabyte block. Yeah, it's great now that we have a market for 2 different implementations. Markets will decide, so everybody plays their bets. Yeah, well, but that's the thing, is that right now, if you want to move stuff between exchanges, it's crazy to use Bitcoin, right? Just because you lose, you know, like if I, especially back up at the top, you know, if I had bought Bitcoin and then tried to transfer it, you know, would have lost like $100 worth of Bitcoin or something. I would have lost, you know, up to 20% of my money just to move it to another exchange. And then it takes forever too. Or you could have used Bitcoin Cash, would have happened instantly, would have paid would have paid 1 Satoshi basically to move it. So right now is in favor of Bitcoin Cash, but the Lightning Network thing does appear to be coming along faster than the Bitcoin Cash people said that it would. And it looks like that on that front that the Bitcoin Cash people were wrong. So in the long run, the Lightning Network could still win out. Well, maybe they spammed the network. I don't think you can prove that. That it was, or at least, I mean, there's one thing as proving that it was spam, and the second thing is proving that it was the big blockers that caused the spam. Keep in mind, they spammed Bitcoin Cash chain too, but it didn't do anything because they had bigger blocks. Well, okay, yeah, SegWit works now. So why do you think that people aren't implementing SegWit then? I understand what you're saying about the disadvantages of increasing the block size. I just think your reasons are bullshit. Because they increased the block size and it wasn't a problem. Like, that's the thing. We'll see. I think that if we go back up, that Bitcoin Cash will outperform Bitcoin. If Bitcoin Cash were a threat to the sovereignty of governments, it would get attacked like Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay, so now that big order at 050 is gone. Yeah, well, who knows? We could start to see the internet speeds increase significantly in the next 10 years. So it's really the bandwidth is really the problem with like a gigabyte block size would not work. Would not work. So you're now veering off of the point though, like calling Bitcoin Cash is just a shitcoin. Now you just name calling, right? The argument is right now, at this moment, Bitcoin Cash is a better vehicle to move your money, and in my opinion, that's an unquestionable fact. It's cheaper, it's faster than Bitcoin. End of story. And if you still need to trade into Bitcoin, you can transfer it, and then you can trade into Bitcoin, and then you can trade into the altcoin that you want, right? I hope that Bitcoin Cash gets back to 0.5 Bitcoin, and I'll sell all of mine. Yeah, but I'm just saying that you're veering off of the topic. The topic was that the assertion that I'm making is Bitcoin should have increased the block size, at least some, and they didn't. And the fact that they didn't is concerning. That was my point. Bitcoin Cash has low fees because no one uses it. Well, obviously it doesn't get used as much as Bitcoin, but I wouldn't say that it's not true that no one uses it. They've actually been pushing pretty good transaction volume. Yeah, I understand there is no single entity that decides. But if the process worked properly, they would have done the right thing, which was increase the block size. Almost no one. No, they have pretty decent transaction volume. Let's look if we can pull up some numbers on this. Okay. So question is, do I want to reverse here? No, I can't take that reversal. Probably just take the -3 that I have today. Okay. So there's that one. Okay. Yeah, because we pulled this up the other day. Okay. Okay, so blockchain.info is saying that we tend to have 223,000 transactions per day. Is that is that fair source for that information, right? People will use whatever to move money around, whatever they want. Yeah. Okay. So that's how many transactions per day Bitcoin is getting, right? How many does Bitcoin Cash get? Well, at one point they were at 100,000. So it's about half of what Bitcoin is. So I wouldn't say that it's like almost nothing, because when you compare it to almost anything else other than Ethereum. Now that's the other interesting one, is that Ethereum has like more transactions than like everybody else combined, which is kind of interesting. But some of that is probably the scramblers. Yeah, Ethereum has the best heckin' transaction count. I would really like to see somebody come through and give some estimate of how much of the transaction volume in Ethereum is actual real people moving stuff, and how much of it is just scramblers. Oh, okay. When I say Bitcoin Cash is a shitcoin, what I mean is that there were altcoins that were cheaper to move money around in before Bitcoin Cash. Well, I suppose there's Litecoin, right? But if I would still say, if I'm going to do it right now, I'm going to use Bitcoin Cash. Ogle, Ozoogle, what are scramblers? Is basically you have a bunch of people. It's kind of a method to create privacy. So you have a bunch of people, they all put their money into the pool. The scrambler moves it all around and then sends it out to other addresses. So now you no longer know whose wallet it is. Well, every coin, no coin has full blocks except Bitcoin. They did, Bitcoin Cash did have full blocks when they had that attack, like the Sunday before last, was it? Yeah. Mixer. Maybe I'm not using the common terminology. I understand that those scrambler and mixer things in Ethereum are a significant source of their transaction count, and you don't really have those in Bitcoin anymore because it's too expensive. Anyways, I'm trying to remember what because there was an earlier point. Oh. Yeah, so the original thing that
Alligator
got this
said looks like a breakdown and small pullback, but doesn't seem legit to me.
The thing that got, well, yeah, CryptoKitties are a significant part of the Ethereum transaction count too. But that's a legit, I mean, I count that. In my evaluation method, I count that. That's use. I guess we can count scramblers too, because that's use, but I think that scramblers create so much transaction volume that it screws the thing up. Because when I look at Ethereum, the chart is completely different from any other cryptocurrency out there on my valuation indicator, and I think that to some extent Ethereum is undervalued, but I also think that to some extent they are there's something screwing the chart up. Probably should have waited to get filled at 5.5 so that I wasn't long. It was already above Bitcoin before CryptoKitties? Yeah. Well, in Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum almost overtook them there at one point, right? I think it could still happen. Especially if we really do get a a bear market. If we really do end up with a long-term bear market, then I think that the chances of a flippening increase. I don't think that you're going to get a flippening when Bitcoin is doing well. No, so the whole thing that started it was the theory that Bitcoin Cash was created by state shills to, oh, that was a really good trade. That worked out well. That was created by state shills to destroy Bitcoin. And I'm just saying that they increased the block size and it worked. Like, so how can you say that it's there to destroy Bitcoin? I mean, when you look at the short term, not the long term, because we have to see how that plays out. But in the short term, the Bitcoin Cash guys were right, and Bitcoin probably could have gone higher in price if they had increased the block size, because it would have allowed more transactions. By the end of the year, alt money will flow back into Bitcoin. That might be true. Although I think that what's going to happen is new money is going to come in. Because for the past month, it's been like almost impossible to get new money in, because exchanges weren't accepting new users and, you know, all of these things. You do kind of have to worry about or wonder about some of these altcoins, though, don't you? There's some stuff up there at the top that I just don't understand why they're there. Ethercraft is going to be bigger than CryptoKitties once it becomes playable. Can't predict how high Ethereum's gonna go, but they're gonna have a run for sure. Oh, I messed up my, okay. Oh, I don't know why they were selling it so hard down here. It seems to me that there are people that are selling down here because they just don't understand. So it could suggest a new player has entered the market when we went short. Because to me, I don't know why you would want to be down at 10K and be putting your short on. That's just dumb. Because, okay, not only are you, I mean, you don't want to sell a bottom per se. So there's that. But then it's just the place that we're at is the place where people merely using the currency, people mining, everything like that, there's a certain amount of buying that just has to happen. And that's where we are right now. They sold 10K really hard on the way up, I mean. Oh, yeah. Seems to me that there's somebody selling here that doesn't know what they're doing. But maybe we'll be proven wrong today. We'll see. You notice it's been pretty quiet. Where is it? Oh, I closed it. Oh, that's because I have the have it Let's move this to a 5-minute chart. Yeah. I guess that there was some sell volume here, but overall recovering, relatively low volume, fairly quiet. See if we can pick another one out. I think they're gonna make another new low here. Too convenient of a place. They should probably load up. I think that Ethereum will top on the Bitcoin chart, but keep going up on the USD chart. I'm only interested in them insofar as they can make me more Bitcoin. Yeah. There you go. New low. Not filled. Well, there is that whole game of switching between the altcoins and the bitcoins, and it does seem like the whales mostly only do it to mess with the market so that they can get more Bitcoin. I don't know if the beginning of the year is going to be all altcoins though. I think that you kind of already had the altcoin season. I think that what you need to see right now is a dead cat bounce. At least a dead cat bounce. Maybe it ends up in a new all-time high, but I don't think they have the transaction volume support to make an all-time high at the moment. Frankly, they didn't have enough transaction support to hit 20,000. That's why they sold there. Yeah. See, I think that what's going to happen is we're going to get a dead cat bounce. We're going to go back up to close to 20,000, not be able to make it. And when that happens, interest is going to decrease significantly. And then when we come back down, and that will be like all the way down, then at that point, I think you are going to see a lot more interest in altcoins, because there's going to be a lot of people. It's not just a healthy consolidation on Bitcoin, I'm sorry, but that's not true, and I'll show you why I don't agree with that. Okay, when this thing is over 100, it's a bubble. That was a bubble popping. Well, at 10K was where were we at 10K? Right here. Oh, sorry, right here. I mean, when we touched 10K originally, it was okay. So, but when we're over that 100, we are in a bubble. The only way that you can get above that is if somebody's manipulating the market and pushing it there. In this case, I believe that what caused it was the futures. That the market believed that the futures was more bullish for Bitcoin price than it actually was, and that's why we came back down. But it could also be some whales pushing it around. But that's where I say that's why you want to sell it. And you can see, I mean, it's pretty clear. Just look at the history of it, right? When we hit those, you get crashes. Here was that first crash. Here was the Mt. Gox one. Here's the dead cat bounce from Mt. Gox. So what we should see should be pretty similar to this, assuming that when we get back up there that we don't have when you see bull div on your little indicator, I don't see what you're saying. What you should see though is you should see a pretty similar thing that happened here. We should start going back up because we're oversold. We should start going back up, and when we get to that 100 level again, if we're not close to the all-time high, we're not going to make a new all-time high. Is what I'm seeing. Man, looks like I may have missed out big time. Oh, well, the lows, the highs and lows on the indicator doesn't quite work like that, because you'll notice that it's a channel. Like, it should always go to the bottom of the channel, and it should always go to the top of the channel, right? It's not like it's more like an RSI indicator. When to buy in Bitcoin? Do it whenever you want. Yeah, you're right, Jeffrey. That's what I said though, right? I said now is the time to buy. I've said that the whole time. The indicator says to buy right now. I'm just saying, after that leg is done, what is the indicator going to say? When we have that buying leg, is it going to be at 100 and saying sell again? Yeah. Oh, but what was price at the last time we were on this indicator? It was like, oh man, I think that the last time that we were this low was below 1,000. Yeah. I mean, if they get enough transaction volume, you should see what you get right here, right? So here you can see that we have rises and it comes back off, but you get, what you're saying is healthy corrections. I wouldn't necessarily call it a healthy correction, but it's such a new market. That's just the way that it works. If you're talking about this dip right here, I think that one was a little bit above 1,000. Like we went past 1,000, or sorry, is that? Yeah, we went past 1,000 and came back, and then we found support at 1,000 and went higher. Okay, and then the one before that was like the 800, right? Then there's all of these other ones here. Obviously, the best one was way back here at like 300 or wherever that is. Yeah. Right, but notice that it never got above 100, right? You never got a sell signal. So the way this works is you buy it until it gives a sell signal. So if transaction count keeps up with price, then you never get a sell signal. So it is entirely possible that we buy here at 50. And this increases interest in Bitcoin. And that gives us support to go higher. But the indicator gave a buy like, years ago. The first real buy that it gave after Mt. Gox happened years ago, so that doesn't really matter. I'm just saying it never gave a sell signal until December. So again, here you're gonna buy, you're gonna hold it until it gets a sell signal. How's that not healthy consolidation? Well, when you get a sell signal, that's not good. Right? Okay, it doesn't happen very often, and when you get a sell signal on this thing, it says you were in a bubble. Okay, so we were in a bubble, we had a crash. That is unquestionable. Now the crash is over. It's done. I mean, that was a crash. Sorry, but if you lost 50% of your value, that is not healthy consolidation. That is, you had an opportunity to double or quadruple your money and you missed it. That's how I look at that one, right? So the crash happened. Now is the buy location. The question is, so we're going to have another bull run. Does the next bull run result in another bubble? That's the question. And it depends on transaction value support. So I don't know if it's going to give a sell signal up there at the top. You can't predict that. But there is a possibility that it's going to happen. And when you look at what happened after the last time that we crashed, that's what happened was you got a sell signal, you got a buy signal, and then on the next leg up, you immediately got another sell signal. So yeah, I do think now is a good time to buy. I just think you should be ready to possibly have to sell it in a month or two. Well, before the end of the year at least. Well, it has touched that 3/2 many, many times now. we're not going to have another doxing. Well, I don't think you're right that we're not having a some sort of crisis to push us down. But I mean, the fact is that we still saw the same kind of moves in the indicator. So, you know, if you look at this price in the past, I'm saying we're here. See where my mouse is? I'm saying we're right here. So, you know, when we're looking historically at the Mt. Gox crash, the Mt. Gox crash was like over, right? Like it had already happened. The market had come to terms with it. You know, let's move on. And when we had this particular move up that caused the indicator to go very quickly to overbought, this was a dead cat bounce. And I remember everybody on the forum saying, okay, well, yeah, Mt. Gox went down, but now it's over with and now we can keep going. And we just got the best place to buy. And now we're all going to have Lambos and all of this, right? Like everybody was really hopeful at that point. And then it quickly hit this point and started going back down. And when that happened, it was like, that was when that generation of the Bitcoin community like died that day, right? Like people weren't interested in Bitcoin after that. It killed the interest because it no longer was going up every day. And that's the risk that you run today again. Is do you run into a lower high that decreases interest? Now, there's a pretty good chance, just based on what I'm seeing on Reddit and what I'm seeing in my own channel and this and that, there's a pretty good chance that when we get going again, that a lot of people are going to come into the market and that it will be enough to justify a new high. It's a pretty good chance. So it's kind of like, yeah, we already had our lower high. I don't think that yeah. So you're talking about like if I come back to this chart, you think that this was our lower high. I don't think that that's what it is. Because if we had the lower high, the chart would have given it again. Would have given the signal again. I mean, I want to sell, but I don't want to sell at the bottom. This is a curious move. We're now touching like a third standard deviation move down. And interestingly enough, in ZN, we have not made a new low. No, lower high. No, because if it was a lower high, the indicator would have been giving a signal. So that's why I don't consider it a lower high. I consider it instead that movement in Bitcoin. You know, let's get rid of this stupid cloud. Ain't nobody need to see that. There. Okay. All of this is just ranging. That's a top range, push lower range. You notice too that we kind of had the same sort of thing here. That. Hopefully we don't go lower, but my indicator says that we shouldn't be able to go lower. At least not for long. If we did, you could hit 8,000. But then if we hit 8,000, we would be the most oversold that we've ever been in Bitcoin. So yeah, I look at it more as a ranging. We haven't seen a real bull, a real dead cat bounce because the indicator didn't come back up. Yeah, shouldn't we start looking at total market cap instead of just Bitcoin? Bitcoin dominance halved since I started looking. I mean, obviously for price entries, we gotta look at individual coins. But I do think that the total market cap is going to be a good indicator if we're going to be able to make a new high or not, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Wedge patterns don't have any historical probability, Jeffrey. They can break out either way. Consolidation patterns can break out either way. They don't. They're 50-50. At least that's what I've found in the back testings that I've done. That's why you just play the both sides of the range instead. Do you think Bitcoin will get lower before the bull run? So to Huang, I don't think so, but I don't really have a very reliable historical probability to say that it will or won't.
But so weak I'm not a seller. Fund S more trending, looks weak.
So my indicator in the past has gone more oversold than it is now, and if we went down to the most oversold level that it's ever been, that would put us at 8,000. So there is a chance that we could take a leg lower. But there's just not enough history to say what the probability of it is. I personally think that the fact that we continue to make higher lows, despite short sellers just pushing it so hard, says to me that probably not. Yeah, triangle patterns do still show you when to get ready. Yeah, that's a good point. Like they did that to us on Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, right? It consolidated and it moved up as I predicted, but then they immediately faded it. So that one on Bitcoin Cash was really interesting. Now, if they fade it again, like if Bitcoin Cash takes another step lower, I'm gonna say, you know, there are clearly large players that hate Bitcoin Cash that are causing it to move out of line with its fundamentals, because that's just way too oversold. Because now you're talking about a situation where it's trading below what the actual transaction volume is, which is ridiculous. Bolowski link on the falling wedge. Where is that? I don't see it. In the Discord? I don't see it. There is a pretty good probability of a pullback here in the bond. I think it's like 55% right now. Yeah, I'll put it in the stream channel. Mm. Oh, that one, it won't let me see it. Falling wedge, let's click on it that way. Okay, now I can see it. The falling wedge is a very poor performer as far as bullish chart patterns go. The break-even failure rate is high and the average rise is low. The only variation that works well is a downward breakout in a bear market. Okay. Does he have... But he doesn't have the stats. Oh, wait. Here we go. Break-even rate, 11%. Throwback, pullback rate. Yeah, that's just not enough. But they are, so he does say that the target, when it does break out, regardless of which way it goes, it does tend to hit the target almost 70% of the time when it goes up. So that's kind of cool. Although I would have to see it on what is the probability on that particular instrument before I would want to trade based off of that. So you got even more of the tell, Rackley? Yeah, but doesn't this thing say, oh. Overall performance rank 20 out of 23. This was also done in 2007. That's interesting. What does the throwback pullback rate mean, though? Wow, you make freaking trading tell like crazy, dude. I mean, the interesting thing about it is that this is kind of a rising wedge pattern here to an extent. Although I'd say really it was more of a head and shoulders pattern. And even this is a little bit of the same. But I do think we're going to see buying here. 841. So it's time to pull up our thing. See if we get a move here. That's not what I wanted. This. Okay. Let's see what it does. Oh. means that half of the time that it looks like the pattern completes and then it actually comes back into it and then goes. We'd really have to see that stat on Bitcoin though itself to really say how reliable it is. Yeah, the real signal is when you break out on a volume candle. Always when you break out on a volume candle. But the times, that's another thing, is that for a probability like that, there's so many little what is the word that I'm looking for? There's so many little things that can be different that they might have put into their back testing that you might not be. So it's kind of hard to say without having like their exact code to see if it meets the same requirements as their back test. In general, though, I've back tested both in notes and in Bitcoin on certain consolidation patterns, not the descending wedge specifics, but some consolidation patterns like these zippers that we get in the note, and they're sometimes I was able to get them to 55. Okay, to Huang. So what are we looking at? So for the Bitcoin, the thing that you want to be paying attention to is all here on the left side. Here's the tape for the futures. So here's all the orders for the futures. Here's a chart of Bitcoin futures. Each candle is 10 orders. And this is the order flow. So these whites mean that there was more orders in the order book at that price. Brighter it is. So what we're going to see is here at 9 o'clock, when it's supposed to settle, are we going to see a bunch of orders go through in the next 15 minutes? I suspect that we won't, but you never know. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think that those chart patterns have that much edge. We'd really have to back test it on Bitcoin itself. We could probably write it. I don't know. Chart patterns are a lot harder to back test, aren't they? That one, it might be easier for you to just go through it by hand, since there's not that much history in Bitcoin. But I think that our this thing right here is pretty good. Has a pretty good historical. It's very easy to see from the chart that when we're down here at 50, you should buy it. So I think now is a good time to buy. Well, I mean, the good time to buy was a couple of days ago, but you could still buy it today. Not that I'm recommending you buy or anything. I'm never making a suggestion on a trade. I'm only telling you what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, we're basically at the same level as a few days here. Oh, so I didn't see the guys in Twitch. Somebody's saying Tucker here, in my opinion, Wall Street is going to be taking directional positions on coin products. They'll be making options markets and arbitraging wherever possible. I hope so. I would love to have options. Because when we get up, here's the thing, is like when we're at the buy zone, everybody's like, oh, your indicator is great. Well, when we were selling, that's not what people were saying. I really wish I could have profited off of the call that it made because it was right on. Because it says that the way I would put it is when that indicator gets over 100, then when you have a decline in price, it's going to be more than 50%. Is generally what happens. Yeah, anything below 10.8 is a wick. Then you notice on the chart how many selling wicks there are. They just, it's even worse on sometimes in the 5-minute charts. Okay, well, there's wicks on both sides, but I mean, like these right here, it's like anytime that the bulls really start to get something in their favor, the shorts immediately come and smack it down. So the reason why I'd say it's a buy is because what I'm seeing is shorts are trying really hard to sell, and what's happening? Higher lows. Shorts are trying really hard and they're not making new lows, and that just supports what my chart says, which is that we're at the price level at which use of the coin supports price. So it's going to be very, very difficult to push price down. Yeah, those wicks are driven by the margin trading. I think to some extent, yeah. It could also be profit taking, yeah. But I have seen on the data mesh, we have seen changes at those points. It's funny because you have these things where, like, okay, on a 5-minute chart, okay, where are we? 5-minute chart, okay. The last little move has been up, and what are margins doing? Somebody else went short. They're trying so hard. Although you do have to realize that the total shorts is much less than the total longs right now. Yeah. No, I think that shorts are putting them on at the tops, because otherwise you would see the shorts go down at the tops, and we have seen that happen too, but not since like Tuesday. So here's this 050 level again. This is going to be a pill because it's was so critical before. Yeah, but those longs have been there for a long time. If they haven't capitulated yet, they won't. Probably not. Well, actually, it's not necessarily that. It's just price hasn't gone far enough for them to, you know, price really hasn't gotten below where they got in. I mean, price hasn't really gone below where I got in. But same with the shorts. We're just not able to push it far enough to create the short covering run that I keep thinking is going to happen. maybe here in 10 minutes. We can only hope. At the moment, the action looks good. I wonder if I should be going for this one instead, because there's so much volume traded there. We've doubled shorts in the last 2 days. Yeah, but see, Jeffrey, though, what you're doing is you're saying that it's a chart pattern, but what you're talking about is not a chart pattern; it's order flow, right? And that's kind of where I'm saying, like, chart pattern wise, I don't tend to think that consolidation patterns are all too useful, but order flow wise, I think you can see a lot there. And I think order flow wise says that this is a buy. Yeah, there was a lot of shorts got on yesterday, well, in the middle of the night on Bitfinex. Big time, for sure. Well, but when you're talking about the number of shorts, you're talking about order flow. When you talk about a wedge consolidation pattern, you're talking about price action. Well, you're talking about technical analysis, but yeah, they're completely different ways of looking at the market. And generally speaking, order flow is going to win. Sure, because I would define order flow as an analysis of the actual orders that have gone through, what prices they went through, whether they were long or short, whether they were market orders, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So when we say we're looking at the order flow and we see that there are shorts that are adding on, yeah, but the margin is what gets hunted for sure. So what we're saying is, okay, we know from the order flow that there's a pretty big short position on right now. If price starts to go against them a certain amount, they're going to have to start getting out. Which means that there's much more reward to the long side at the moment than there is to the short side. Because most of those longs aren't going to give up if it goes below 10. Long short sentiment analysis, but that's what we do with order flow. So we're looking for an imbalance in the market, and then we wait for price to move in one direction from that imbalance, and then we get in on the expectation that that move will continue when the imbalance unwinds. That's how I trade. Order flow is the orders, right? I guess you could also consider the level 2 stuff order flow, but the level 2 stuff is a little bit different too. Today I'm going to see, because there's not really a very good tape out there for Bitcoin or Bitfinex or whatever. So I'm gonna try making my own tape today. I'm wondering if the information that they give us, if they tell us if it's a margin or margin order or not, and hopefully we should be able to glean something from that. When big hands are accumulating on spot with no margin and sellers are selling into those strong hands with margins, the sellers get wrecked. Yeah, I think so. I think so, but I prefer to let it to see that it's basically already going against them, which at the moment it hasn't, but it's still kind of right there. So once we start getting above this, like what, I think it's probably going to have to be above 11.5 still. Then I would start pushing them. But they don't tell you that directly, but you can see the long short count updating. So that the individual orders don't have anything on it that says that they're margin or not, but you can see something else change. So it may potentially be possible. I don't know. I just want to make it the thing that I want in my tape, and I don't have it in these tapes, but I have seen some tapes out there where it'll draw a little bar to show you how big the order is, because it's just too hard for me to read the numbers that you see on the, it's such a freaking pain. Come on. Come on. Most of these longs on Bitfinex are still holding from the 77. I don't know. I don't look that far back. I really only care about like what's happening in the past week. No, my understanding is that Jeffrey thinks it's going to go up too. Aww. From 7,700, probably not on margin. You have to pay daily interest. Well, yeah, that's where I'm kind of like, when I'm looking at margin orders, I don't think that it would be as useful to look at anything that's longer than a week. Yeah, do you see that in that last 10 minutes, one order went through? Yeah, so let's pull up here another depth in sales in February. Oops. Oh, now like, would you look at that? We're quite a bit higher. So it looks to me like they had rolled over much earlier. Okay. Well, hold on a second here. Or let me come on. Lock it. Come on. Oh, it won't let me change it. That's a little... What do we got to do here? Maybe I need to reattach this. Get rid of the... Okay, so then I just need to look at what was the... Okay, 7. Okay. Well. Let's see. So if I can get my ninja to database management, yeah, roll over. Okay. Interesting. You see that? So they had already rolled over. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I say 1,000 when I mean 10,000. Yeah. Oh, we did take a step lower, didn't we? Well, we need to... Now it's crazy oversold. And they have people that want it at 122? You kidding me? If it reached 122 here, but without a pullback, that would be... I've never seen that before. That would be unprecedented. Just a kind of only barely didn't get filled. Wow. Okay, touching that's not triggering stops though. And they put the big offer on it. Yeah, good. Jeez. Look at that. Hmm. Yeah, now they're really doubling down. The buyers are. Well, now that 9 o'clock has passed, it looks like we're really starting to get some momentum here, and that move overnight is almost completely retraced. Yeah, on this trade, I should have waited for the short side to get filled first. I don't know why I did that. If we had waited for the short side to get filled first, we either wouldn't have been filled or we would be a couple who would have gotten it, at least. Yeah, that was bad. I think I got a little unfocused there when I put that order in. Really only trade Bitcoin in uptrends. Yeah. Looks pretty good at the moment for the uptrends. I think maybe we could come back to the VWAP, but yeah, this move in bonds is nuts. We're not going to get filled. Gosh dang. I've had a couple of okay trades today that just didn't get filled, huh?
Alligator said yes, very low. Imo, this range 0.16.0 will get a lot of attention next week. I will try to play it with B/O. Trade the traders, said Alligator. Show now, hit and run.
Ooh. That could be a reversal signal. I don't know. Okay. The mistake I made on the last one was that I shouldn't have been losing more than a tick, and I wasn't paying attention and didn't get out. And then, I should have moved my stop up. So here I'm moving my stop up. That was a pretty bad mistake. Yeah, on the S&P, he's saying he's seeing a bear divergence on the RSI. So I don't know about the RSI, but it looks weak. Just look at the cumulative delta on it. They want to take it down.
Alligator said, okay, day over in bonds. My reading of ZN was flawed today. Happy to have left it, even if there was definitively a lot of possibilities. Seems I often meet problems at options expiration.
Today's action was incredibly unusual. Well, at least that first trade. That first trade, when it failed to view up, that was really weird. Then from 6 down, I guess that's just a sell, but oh gosh, you gotta be kidding me, right? Look at all that. No thanks. No thanks. Get me out. Hmm. Whoa.
Alligator said trade the traders, you mean reversion? Or game over for the downtrend? I agree.
You notice that through all of this mess right here, we haven't gotten any buys yet. Oh, there we got one.
Block sell.
Yeah. I'm done.
Trade the traders, said Bund goes deeper.
That was a bad, yeah. Bad day. It's always Fridays. It's probably gonna reverse here now that I've hit my limit. Yep, the sim even says that I got slippage, but the sim always gives you one worse than you actually got, so Now that Seth's sold the
Alligator
bottom,
said,
it
"Are
will
you
reverse.
sure? It would be a very significant close.
I
New
haven't
lows
sold.
end of week."
I haven't sold anything, Jeffrey. You seem to be confused about what my positions and views are. Because nobody sold anything. Certainly not in Bitcoin. So my view on the Bitcoin thing is my strategy just called a major top in the market, and it looks like it's calling a major, or so far it looks like it's successfully calling a major bottom in the market, but we're going to need a little bit more time for that to be sure. So no, I didn't say that. No, I said I'm out like that last move down. I had a trade. Let me explain to you what happened. I have a trade that says that when we get below a third standard deviation, that we have a high probability of a reversal. And there was also a 2-tick pull.
Alligator said, "Frankly, I doubt it. Nobody's
Impulsive.
going to short so late,
Yeah.
and market makers are going to push it up in the low liquidity hours."
Impulsive move down. So I did have something that's has edge, but then when I got in, just nobody bought. so I'm stopping, is what I'm saying. Because clearly none of my trades today are work. And I'm clearly not, because I've let at least one or two go more than it should have, or I made a bad trade. And so I shouldn't put in any more positions. And even though it really says that it should be reversing here. But I didn't sell the bottom. Although I do like that trade, but it actually hasn't done that today, interestingly enough. It just kind of gets there and then they pull and it goes lower. They haven't actually had to do a level break, which is the most confusing thing of all to me. No. No revenge. I just... Revenge against who? Myself? It's this one right here. Oh, that's interesting that on these ones I got buys, but... I mean, that should have been a sell. I should have taken it. I had a buy here and I had a sell here. I should have left the sell on. Probably could have gotten filled. Oh well. It was really bad. And then I stopped paying attention and I let it go further than what my risk was. So I'm just not on the... How do these treasuries move against the other macro trends like UJ and SP? So I don't know what UJ is, but the S&P isn't really actually doing anything at... I mean, what's happening right now, at least from what I see, is that the E-mini did push up, and that pushed treasuries down. But the move down in treasuries just seems like way overdone. Oh, it's 6J. I wonder why you have it as UJ. Yeah, now the 6J one is a little odd because it's been oh, you know what? No, that's not what I want, 6J. There we go. There's 6J. Okay. Yeah, the 6J one is weird. But the 6J hasn't been correlated for like all week. Hmm. The funny thing about this is that it really hasn't been, except for that last push, there hasn't necessarily been that much volume going through. I don't know. The whole thing seems really fishy to me. No, we call them sixes. See? 6J. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that's the futures. The futures is 6J. Yeah. We call them sixes. Because there's like 6J and there's 6E. Oh. Well, there's all that nonsense about whether the dollar is going to be strong or weak, and yeah. Okay, well, so I'm just going to end it there because I am like super tempted to take it long because it's still saying that it's a buy, but anyways, unfortunate. We'll catch you guys next week.